Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas were two of Hollywood's most powerful stars. They were both strong-willed, fiercely ambitious, and at the peak of their careers, they often worked side by side. On the surface, they appeared like brothers sharing the screen in classics like Gunfight at the OK Corral, 1957, 7 Days in May, 1964, and The List of Adrian Messenger, 1963. But behind the scenes, their relationship was far from brotherly. In truth, Lancaster and Douglas had one of Hollywood's most notorious rivalries. And, according to those who knew them, Lancaster absolutely hated Douglas, though the reasons go far deeper than simple competition. A tale of two titans to understand why sparks flew between them, you have to look at their personalities. Burt Lancaster was charismatic, commanding, and carried himself with the confidence of a born leader. He came from a tough New York background and had worked his way into Hollywood with grit and determination. Kirk Douglas, on the other hand, was every bit as ambitious, maybe even more so. Known for his piercing blue eyes and fierce intensity, Douglas wasn't afraid to bulldoze his way into a role or fight for top billing. While both men respected each other's talent, their egos clashed almost every time they shared the screen, fighting for the spotlight. One of the biggest sources of tension was billing. Douglas was obsessed with being the star, and Lancaster, who was just as accomplished, wasn't willing to play second fiddle. In film after film, arguments broke out over whose name would appear first on the poster or in the opening credits. On Gunfight at the OK Corral, the fight for top billing became so heated that studio executives had to step in. Lancaster felt Douglas's hunger for attention undermined the partnership, while Douglas saw Lancaster as arrogant and unwilling to share the spotlight. Different styles, same goal. Another issue was how differently they approached acting. Lancaster was a perfectionist, focused on discipline and physicality. He trained like an athlete for every role. Douglas, by contrast, was impulsive, driven by raw intensity and instinct. This difference sometimes made their on-screen chemistry electric, but off-screen it only fueled resentment. Lancaster saw Douglas as too self-centered, while Douglas believed Lancaster was too controlling. Together they were like fire and gasoline, powerful, but explosive when mixed. The love-hate relationship. Despite all the bitterness, their rivalry was complicated. Both men admitted, sometimes reluctantly, that they respected each other. Douglas once said that Lancaster was a pain in the neck, but one of the best actors I ever worked with. Lancaster, for his part, called Douglas a crazy man, but acknowledged his incredible energy on screen. Still, Lancaster's dislike often showed. Friends and co-stars recalled him complaining about Douglas's ego and relentless competitiveness. Their friendship was more like a chess match, each trying to outmaneuver the other while never letting their guard down. Why Lancaster hated Douglas in the end? It wasn't just about billing or acting styles. Lancaster hated Douglas because they were mirrors of each other, two men who refused to bend, who demanded control, and who thrived on dominance. They were too much alike, and that similarity turned respect into rivalry. Lancaster often felt that Douglas crossed the line from ambitious to ruthless, and that betrayal of professional honor was something he couldn't forgive. For Lancaster, Douglas wasn't just competition, he was a constant reminder of the fight for power in Hollywood.